Hello, hello. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sabby Sab Show on Revolutionary Blackout Network. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. I hope everyone is having a great Friday. There has been a lot of shocking news lately. If you've been paying attention, I don't know if you have. I'm going to talk about two of those stories tonight. I want to give a shout out to everyone watching on YouTube and Twitter and also Twitch as well. And quick shout out to people in the chat. So, what is going on? CBC voter, welcome. Nice to see you. It says Sabby. Shout out to Lucky Burrito, says Sabby with a heart. Greetings, Janice says good evening. What's going on? Eric T. Red says Friday with a smiley face. Shout out Saul Good. Hello there. Hello there to you too. Greetings, Eric Gray says, hey, everybody. Annie says, hi. Shout out Gary says, Morgan Freeman on the upcoming 2022 midterm elections. People stay away from here. People stay away from here now. No, don't come in here. Whatever you hear, stay away. Jim Crow Joe has the upper hand. Interesting. I will have to look that up. Shout out to John Kemper says, good evening, fam. And Sabby, what's going on? Ashura says, recast T'Challa. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Black Panther. What's going on? Brent Hudgens said, let's get this Friday rolling. I need a beer for this. I will be having one later. Shout out to Creative Experiment says, not much shocks me anymore. I'm right there with you. I am right there with you. And what's going on? Arif Hassan says Monrovia. All right. What are we talking about tonight? Now, I have two stories I want to get into. Both of them should concern you. So here's the first story. Facebook controversy. What has happened with Facebook and why all of us should be really concerned by their message that just came out recently. And we're also going to discuss Black Panther director arrested. What was that all about? And why should we all be concerned? So I'm actually going to start with the Black Panther gets arrested story. Now, Ryan Coogler, you may know of him, especially if you're really into like Marvel. Ryan Coogler was the director of Black Panther. He is actually filming Black Panther 2. That's probably one of my favorite Marvel movies. I love the Black Panther movie. But regardless who Ryan Coogler is, that really should not matter in reference to what happened to him at Bank of America. So I want to go into an article first, and then I'm going to show you that video. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, here we go. Black Panther director Ryan Coogler speaks out after being mistakenly suspected of attempted robbery. Now, let's keep in mind here, Ryan Coogler, this is him. He was at Bank of America. Obviously, he had an account there. So he was not there to rob the bank, obviously. But here we go. Let's get more into this story. Ryan Coogler was detained by police in January after being mistaken for a bank robber. The Black Panther director was in Atlanta attempting to make a withdrawal from his account with Bank of America. The teller received an alert on his account, according to the police report obtained by CNN, because the amount was more than $10,000. Okay, let me come out just for a second. I want to talk about that. If any of you have worked at a bank, any of you have been a bank teller, that is actually not uncommon. If you are trying to withdraw a certain amount of money, no, it's not uncommon for the teller to receive an alert. So obviously, he was trying to take out a large sum of money. I don't know why that happens. I honestly think if it's your money, you should be able to take out however much you want. So that's just weird to me. I just don't get that, but that is not uncommon for that to happen. However, things get worse as we get into this story. Now listen to this. I'm gonna make this a little bit larger for you. Whoa. Okay. The teller notified her superior that she thought Kugler was trying to rob the bank and 911 was called. Now, this is the part that does not make sense to me. If he was trying to withdraw his own money from his own account, why would you think that he's trying to rob the bank? Because a quick search would have told her whether or not the funds were available. That just doesn't it just doesn't make any sense. When you see the pictures I'm going to show you, when you see the video, it's really not going to make any sense. Obviously, I think we all know what's really going on here. What this is really about. So let's go back into the story. Kugler had written a note on the back of his withdrawal slip stating that he wanted the money to be counted discreetly, given the amount, according to the report. That also is not uncommon when you are withdrawing a large sum of money. Just to make that clear, that's not uncommon. And obviously, if you're taking out thousands and thousands of dollars from the bank, I wouldn't want you to count my money out loud in front of everyone either. You're about to walk out with a lot of money. Hello. When the police arrived, two of Kugler's colleagues who were waiting for him in a parked vehicle outside the bank were detained and placed in the back of a police car. Keep in mind, at this point, these gentlemen have done nothing. They have done nothing. The police show up and put them in the back of the police car. Kugler was placed in handcuffs while police investigated the call. He was released shortly after they verified his identity, the report states. This is the part I want to touch on right here. He was released shortly after they verified his identity. Here's why this is a problem. Ryan Coogler is pretty famous, director, movies, Black Panther. He also directed Fruitvale Station. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that one, but that one also stars Michael B. Jordan as well. So it comes across that because he is somewhat of a celebrity and he is rich, that basically told law enforcement, oh, this guy was not trying to rob a bank. We need to let him go. And where this could have gone terribly wrong, let's pretend Ryan Coogler was not a celebrity. Let's pretend Ryan Coogler was not well known and is not known for being wealthy. Let's pretend it was just an average Joe Schmo African-American male that this happened to. And even after verifying that individual's identity, would they have released him so soon? I don't think so. They would have still been suspicious, still suspect. So this is the thing that, and I've talked about this often before, about Black celebrities versus everyday Black people. Now, what happened to Ryan was wrong. It's ridiculous. But this situation would have been a lot worse if it didn't happen to someone who was famous. Let's just be real. If it didn't happen to someone who was wealthy. And this has been getting a lot of traction on Twitter recently. I've seen this video go around like multiple times. And it's just really frustrating to me because this is the point that I try to bring across a lot of times about Black people that are celebrities. Sometimes it seems like they don't seem to understand that even though they're Black just like us, well, not all of us, I don't know all of you guys watching are, but they don't seem to understand that the privileges and the benefits that they get just because they're a celebrity are not the same privileges or benefits that we would get. They don't understand that if they're stopped by police and the police officer looks into the car and goes, oh, crap, that's Will Smith. I'm sorry, man. Sorry about that. Have a good day. Continue on with the rest of your day. They don't seem to understand that if it's one of us, it does not go that way. That's the difference between being wealthy and not being wealthy in this country. This is a big part of the class divide. I'm going to talk more about this on my show later tonight about class division. Isaiah Thomas, not Isaiah Thomas. There's a different, hold on. Isaiah Washington, excuse me. Isaiah Washington from Grey's Anatomy, where he used to play on Grey's Anatomy, African American male. He made a statement one time that I did not like. He said, if Black people don't want to be pulled over by the police, then don't buy a fancy car. He said, buy an average car just like I have. Let me say that again. Isaiah Washington said, if Black people don't want to be pulled over by the police, rich Black people, or Black people that just have enough money to buy a fancy car, he said, don't purchase a fancy car. Purchase an average car, like a Toyota, like me. He said that. And not thinking about the fact that if you have the money, if you're Black and you have the money to buy a fancy car, why should you have to hold back that desire because you're afraid of being pulled? See, he attributed the problem to the person buying the vehicle instead of placing the problem to the criminal justice system, to the corrupt cops. So I had a big problem with that statement. So no, it should not be on Black people to say, I should not buy a fancy car because I don't want to be stopped by the police. It should not be on someone like Ryan Coogler to say, oh, well, I shouldn't go to my own bank and withdraw large sums of money from my own account so that I'm not stopped by the police. Because at the end of the day, if Ryan Coogler is white, what he did would not have mattered. This wouldn't have even been an issue. So one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to blame the people that were treated unfairly. I think we need to be careful about doing that. I'm going to go back into the article. So it goes on to say, this situation should have never happened. However, Bank of America worked with me and addressed it to my satisfaction, and we have moved on. Now, that's coming from Ryan Coogler. He said that to Variety. CNN has reached out to Coogler's representative for comment. We deeply regret that this incident occurred. It should have never happened, and we have to apologize to Mr. Coogler. That's coming from Bank of America. And it goes on to say Coogler was in Georgia at the time of the incident, working on production of Black Panther sequel. So this portion right here, where Coogler says Bank of America worked with me and addressed it to my satisfaction and we have to move on. Nah, bruh. Nah. No. See, I think he went a little too soft there. I don't think, first of all, Bank of America has some of the worst customer service in the country. I know that from experience. I left Bank of America many years ago. They're terrible with customer service. 2, he comes in and he says they addressed it to my satisfaction and we've moved on. This would have been an opportunity for Ryan Coogler to come forward with a statement about law enforcement, about the criminal justice system, about how he was treated unfairly, how he was targeted, and how there were these assumptions about him because he was a Black man trying to withdraw large sums of money. That's what I would have said. This was a perfect opportunity for him to break down the differences and the things that Black people have to go through in this country that white people most of the time do not have to worry about. He shouldn't have had to worry about that. His friends sitting in the car shouldn't have had to worry about that. So this would have been a perfect opportunity to call out the justice system, to call out the racism, to call out the bias that we have about Black people in this country, and particularly Black men. That was his moment, and he didn't do it. And this is the same guy who directed Fruitvale Station. Do you know what Fruitvale Station was about? Fruitvale Station was about Oscar Grant. This story does not get as much attention as it should. It's a true story. A lot of Americans, a lot of people around the world were really shocked by what they saw in the George Floyd video. But if more media outlets would have reported Oscar Grant's story, his incident with law enforcement, I think Americans would have been just as deeply outraged. Oscar Grant went out one night with his friends. This is in the Bay Area, California. On the way home, they decided to take the BART. I think San Francisco is called the BART, public transportation system. They got on the train. There was a fight on the train. Now, based on what I read, they did not start the fight, but there was a fight on the train. Big deal. People get into fights. At the next stop, they were told, get off the train. So they got off the train. They were arguing on the platform. Keep in mind, nothing has happened yet. The police arrested them, handcuffed Oscar Grant. By the way, Oscar Grant, at this point in time, had not done anything. Arrested him, put him in handcuffs, told them to get on the ground. Oscar Grant was laying on his stomach. His hands were handcuffed behind his back. So keep in mind, at this point, what could he possibly do? So he's trying to tell the police officer that he didn't do anything, that it wasn't them. What does the police officer do? He shoots Oscar Grant in the back, killing him. That police officer only served 1 year. That story does not get enough attention. Mainstream media, they decide which stories they're going to talk about. But that one doesn't get enough attention. And Ryan Coogler directed that movie. He knew the story. So he knows how corrupt the criminal justice system is. He knows how corrupt policing is in this country. So for him to be wrongfully accused and arrested, and his friends to be arrested, I felt like that was the perfect opportunity for him to make a deeper statement instead of Bank of America, apologize, and yeah, I'm moving on. As a celebrity, you have that platform. Use it. Because had it been someone else, that situation could have ended very differently. Had it been someone who was not a Black celebrity or was not wealthy, they could have been killed. That's just something I want you guys to think about. I'm going to show you the video. Let me go ahead and stop sharing this and go into the video. Greg Bruce says, as someone who was once a bank teller, I can tell you banks do withdrawals of that kind of cash fairly often. The amount is clearly not why the cops were called. Exactly. Yeah, that's true, Gary. Well, anywho, Fruitvale Station made Michael B. Jordan a bigger movie star. That's true. That is true. So let's go into the actual video because I want you to see the video footage. Let me share my screen here. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, police draw a firearm on Marvel's Black Panther director Ryan Coogler before pulling out the handcuffs. That was another thing. When they showed up, they already had their weapons pointed at them. Do you see what I mean when I say this could have gone terribly wrong? So let me go ahead and play that video.
Do me a favor, man. Come this way. Put your hand behind your back. Put your hand behind your back.
Change down my back. Okay. Got it. Got it. Is there any reason y'all doing this, bro?
Give me 1 second.
Good job, guys. Good job, guys.
What's the problem? I need everybody's name.
They're writing all your.
I need everybody's name. You know what I'm saying? And I need to find out who made that call in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I
It
mean?
came from the bank.
Yeah.
Came from the
I need to
bank.
find out who made the
That's
call.
fine. That's fine. You have all right to do so.
Yeah. I got.
But
Can I speak to a manager in an office somewhere? Have you ever considered doing
I'm
something
gonna
like that?
consider it now that y'all
Okay.
fucking drew guns on me.
Yeah.
I was trying to take money out. But up to this point, at every Bank of America I ever gone to in my entire fucking life, just never happened.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
So y'all explaining y'all perspective, right?
Yeah.
Y'all the ones with guns and vests.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What's my perspective? What's my perspective?
I know you
At the bank, she never said it was a fucking problem, bro.
Yeah.
I said, hey, is that gonna be okay with you? She said, yeah. I put my own card in, put my own pin in. She asked to see my ID. I gave it to her.
Yeah.
And she goes in the back, and I'm waiting for the and then the people keep coming out. Hey, they taking care of you. They taking care of you. Everything, just taking a little while. Next thing I hear fucking Glocks.
Yeah.
I hear Glocks getting pulled out. That's what I hear.
You're a Glock.
I hear Glocks getting pulled out from unholstering. Hey, sir, can I talk to you for a minute?
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You see my perspective.
Yeah.
Now I want to chime in. I'm going to play this again, and there's certain parts I want to chime in and comment.
Sure. Do me a favor, man. Come this way.
Okay, so notice right here, he's at the teller. Do you see that? He's at the teller. And he told you at the end of the video, he put his own pin in. Now, somebody explain this to me. If you're trying to rob the bank, why would you enter your PIN? That doesn't make any sense. Obviously, if you enter your PIN, they'll be able to connect it right back to you. Your personal identification number. How many people rob a bank by entering their PIN? That didn't make any sense to me. So let's go back in. Let's carry on here.
Put your hand behind your back. Put your hand behind your back.
Change down my back. Okay. Got it. Is there any reason y'all doing this, bro?
Give me 1 second.
Good job, guys. Good job, guys.
You notice the woman said, "Good job, officer." Good job for what? Like, good job for what? This doesn't make any sense. This really doesn't make, oh my God.
What's the problem? I need everybody's name.
They're writing all your.
I need everybody's name. You know what I'm saying? And I need to find out who made that call in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I
It
mean?
came from the bank.
Yeah.
Came from the
I need to
bank.
find out who made the
That's
call.
fine. That's fine. You have all right to do so.
Yeah. I got.
But
Can I speak to a manager in an office somewhere? Have you ever considered doing
I'm
something
gonna
like that?
consider it now that y'all
Okay.
fucking drew guns on me.
Yeah.
I was trying to take money out. But up to this point, at every Bank of America I ever gone to in my entire fucking life, just never happened.
Gotcha.
So obviously he's been with Bank of America for a long time. And he said every Bank of America that he's gone to in his entire life, this has never happened.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
So y'all explaining y'all perspective, right?
Yeah.
Y'all the ones with guns and vests.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
What's my perspective? What's my perspective?
Oh no, you
at the bank, she never said it was a fucking problem, bro.
Yeah.
I said, hey, is that gonna be okay with you? She said, yeah.
That's also suspect. He just told you the teller never said it was a problem.
I put my own card in, put my own pin in. She asked to see my ID. I gave it to her.
Yeah.
And she goes in the back, and I'm waiting for the and then the people keep coming out, hey, they taking care of you. They taking care of you. Everything's
Yeah.
So that's another thing that he just mentioned. He showed his ID. He put his own debit card in and entered his PIN. So who is he trying to rob from? Himself?
just taking a little while. Next thing I hear fucking Glocks.
Yeah.
I hear Glocks getting pulled out. That's what I hear.
You're a Glock.
I hear Glocks getting pulled out from unholstering. Hey, sir, can I talk to you for a minute?
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So you see my perspective.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's not even enough anymore. Having your own ID, having your PIN number, having your own debit card entered, asking them if is this okay amount to take out, if this is going to be okay. Apparently, that's not even enough. Brent Hudgens said this story is insane. Yes, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. There have been a couple of times I had to go to the bank and I had to take out, or not that amount of money, but I had to take out, I guess what you would say, large sum of money. And it's really no one's business as to why you need to do that. Maybe he was trying to buy something expensive and he wanted to pay cash. Some people do that. And the fact that he did everything that he was supposed to do and even asked her the question of whether or not this was okay, and she said yes, and still went to the back and called 911 and said this guy's trying to rob the bank. That just didn't make any sense. What kind of story? What? I'm gonna go to some of the comments in the chat. Ashura said my super chats are not showing. I don't see any super chats. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm not sure. Did I hit monetize? I thought I did for this video. I'm not sure though. Jeremy said they ain't looking for intelligent people to become cops. I was a cop, I would know. Oh, Jeremy. Oh, man. Oh, man. Echo J said the handwritten note on the withdrawal slip asking to withdraw from his account that Kugler gave her to count the money discreetly could not have been mistaken for a bank robber note. Yeah. This is crazy. Yeah, there's no super chats, Ashura. So I don't know what's happening. Maybe this is a StreamYard issue. But I went all the way back up to the beginning and there's nothing here. Let me check on YouTube. No. Did anybody else see these come through? Because everybody would see them. Yeah. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the next story. This one is pretty, oh God. This one's pretty cringe as well. And I don't know if you have heard about this yet, but this is very concerning. We got to do something about big tech, man. We have to do something about big tech because things are just not improving. So Facebook has taken it upon themselves to decide what is considered hate speech and what isn't. And apparently they've decided to change the rules. Apparently it's okay to hate some people, but not others. This is the thing now. Listen to this. I want to pull up this article. This is crazy, man. I can't believe this is even happening. This is coming from Facebook. Facebook allows war posts urging violence against Russian invaders. Facebook. I'll make this larger so I can weed out the ads. Yeah. Facebook. Meta Platforms Facebook will allow Facebook and Instagram users in some countries to call violence against Russia and Russian soldiers in the context of the Ukraine invasion, according to internal emails seen by Reuters on Thursday in a temporary change to its hate speech policy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Let me go further down. The social media company is also temporarily allowing some posts that call for death to Russian President Vladimir Putin or Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, according to internal emails to its content moderators. As a result of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we have temporarily made allowances for forms of political expression that would normally violate our rules, like violent speech, such as death to the Russian invaders. Let me come out for a second. We have to talk about this. I've had friends had their Facebook accounts removed for stupid stuff. I had a friend had their Facebook account removed because they weren't using their real name. Like everyone doesn't anyway. Thank you so much for this, John Harrison, for the super chat. Support local credit unions. Well said. Well said. For stupid reasons, because some of my friends didn't want to use their real name on Facebook, which is understood. Some of them have jobs where they want to be a little bit more discreet. So they would use like a nickname. I've had friends had their accounts removed because of that. But now it's okay to use hate speech towards Russia on Facebook. That's okay now. Can't say certain things about the election on Facebook. In their policy, it says you're not supposed to use racist language, sexist language. Their policy says no hate speech. But they're willing to make an exception if the hate speech is against Russia. This type of behavior is one of the reasons why we need to break up big tech. This is a problem. Facebook is a corporation. Here you have a corporation basically telling you who you should hate. You guys see where I'm going with this? This isn't coming from Joe Biden. Don't get me wrong, Joe Biden has said his things as well. But this particular story here is about a corporation. So you have a corporation that is using the same talking points as the United States government. And this is the problem with corporations being attached to politics. This is a company. This company is defining who you should or should not hate. The fact that they are willing to go to the extent to make an exception for this, that is very dangerous. Now, you have so many people around have these feelings of Russia phobia. All these people fearful of Russia and people from Russia now. And here you have one of the world's largest platforms telling you it's okay to use hate speech towards them. How is that even allowed? Just before I jumped on this stream, I saw that YouTube has permitted viewership of videos from RT and Sputnik. Just before I jumped on the stream, I saw that. So if you go to YouTube and you search for RT, it's still there. If you search for Sputnik, it's still there. But if you click on one of their videos, you will receive an error message that says, this content is not allowed to be viewable in your country. So they, in so many ways, are deciding what can be censored and what cannot be censored. And that is incredibly dangerous on these types of platforms because they are now trying to control the narrative. Facebook should be ashamed of themselves. I thought Facebook was supposed to be a family-friendly platform. Isn't that what they said? Isn't that what they said during the 2020 elections? We will remove political information that's not from mainstream media, especially if it was something that was pro-Trump. Facebook is a welcoming environment. It's for families, a family-friendly environment, but you're now advocating for hate speech towards a certain group of people. When you think about what's happening with these companies, with these platforms, and the message that's coming from mainstream media, and the message that is coming from the United States government, the Biden administration, they are the ones that are bringing about Russia-phobia. Because if they were not doing this, most people wouldn't have it. They wouldn't have that fear of Russia. They wouldn't think that Russia is evil. They wouldn't hate Russia. They do so because of the media outlets that we have tell them to, because the US government tells them to. Now you have Facebook telling them to. You have YouTube removing Russian outlets. How is this not any different from the same type of fear that we've had in this country and abroad against certain groups of people? How is this not similar? They teach you to fear them. They teach you to hate them because they're the ones that they say you should blame. And people are doing it. And now you have these media outlets, they're making it seem like the Ukrainian people can do no wrong. They're the good guys, which is not true, by the way. All of them are corrupt. All of them are at fault here. Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. But they have this message that is going around, making Americans believe that the Ukrainian people are victims and they are the good guys. And that Russian people are bad. Some of the rhetoric that I've seen on social media from people about Russians since this all started has been very concerning. And I'm talking about it's coming from people on the left. I'm going to go back into the article. As a result of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, we've temporarily made allowances for forms of political expression that would normally violate our rules, like violent speech, such as death to Russian invaders. We still won't allow credible calls for violence against Russian civilians. You don't get it. You don't get it. You don't think that by letting people call for violence against Russian soldiers, you don't think that's not going to translate over to Russian civilians? It's already happening. People are already saying things on social media like those Russians or I can't stand them, and just such nasty, nasty rhetoric. And it's not just Facebook. I'm going to show you another one that also just came out. But let's go back in. The calls for the leaders' deaths will be allowed unless they contain other targets or have two indicators of credibility, such as the location or method. One email said in a recent exchange to the company's rules on violence and incitement. Citing Reuters story, Russia embassy in the United States demanded that Washington stop the extremist activities of Meta. Users of Facebook and Instagram did not give the owners of these platforms the right to determine the criteria of truth and pit nations against each other. Now, that's coming from the embassy. The temporary policy changes on calls for violence to Russian soldiers apply to Armenia, Azerbaijan, Estonia, Georgia, the country, by the way, not Georgia, the state, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, Russia, Slovakia, and Ukraine, according to one email. In the email recently sent to moderators, Meta highlighted a change in its hate speech policy pertaining both to Russian soldiers and to Russians in the context of the invasion. We are issuing a spirit of the policy allowance to allow T1 violent speech that would otherwise be removed under the hate speech policy when targeting Russian soldiers, except prisoners of war. B, targeting Russians where it's clear that the context is the Russian invasion of Ukraine, e.g., content mentions the invasion, self-defense, etc. It said in the email. We are doing this because we have observed that in this specific context, Russian soldiers is being used as a proxy for the Russian military. The hate speech policy continues to prohibit attacks on Russians. Last week, Russia said it was banning Facebook in the country in response to what it said were restrictions on access to Russian media on the platform. Moscow has cracked down on tech companies, including Twitter, which said it is restricted in the country during its invasion of Ukraine, which it calls for a special operation. Many major social media platforms have announced new content restrictions around the conflict, including blocking Russian state media RT and Sputnik in the European Union, and have demonstrated carve-outs in some of their policies during the war. So, emails also showed that Meta would allow praise of the right-wing Azov battalion, which is normally prohibited in a change first reported by The Intercept. The right-wing Azov battalion they're Nazis. Let's see that. Emails also showed that Meta would allow praise of the right-wing Azov battalion. Meta and Facebook is the same thing. I want to make that clear for those who do not know. Meta would allow praise of the right-wing Azov battalion. Facebook is okay with allowing people to praise Nazis. Because they're in Ukraine. This is how crazy this has become. By the way, a couple of days ago, they were selling Azov Nazi apparel on Amazon. Zuckerberg needs the answer for this. Why in the world would you allow people to praise Nazis? And in any other shape and form and context on Facebook, you would not be allowed to. Do you see what I mean? How they're making these exceptions? This is Mark Zuckerberg's company. And to be honest for you, the only reason I'm even on Facebook anymore is because Facebook helped me put me in touch with people that I went to school with, like middle school, elementary school. Like I moved around a lot growing up. So it was not really a chance that I would see people that I went to school with again. It just wasn't. That's the only reason why I'm on Facebook. Now I just go on there and I post like my podcast shows, and that's it. That's it. Because I want to share that information and wake people up. Facebook is not the only one. TikTok, and I think I need to get rid of this app on my phone. TikTok is also in the game. They are also not to be trusted. Listen to this. I'm going to make this a little bit larger so you can see it. So this came from Angel Rivera, and I looked this up. Angel Rivera said the White House is actively giving TikTok influencers their talking points on Ukraine-Russia crisis. They have to make sure to stick to the script, and don't they dare talk about Russia's side of this. Look at this. The White House is briefing TikTok stars about the war in Ukraine. The White House. Why in the hell is the White House contacting social media influencers on platforms like TikTok? With millions getting their information about the war from the platform, the administration wants to get its message to top content creators. On Thursday afternoon, 30 top TikTok stars gathered on a Zoom call to receive key information about the war unfolding in Ukraine. National Security Council staffers and White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki briefed the influencers about the United States' strategic goals in the region and answered questions on distributing aid to Ukraine, working with NATO, and how the United States would react to a Russian use of nuclear weapons. Jen Psaki, let me get this straight, ladies and gentlemen. So the Biden administration, they have time to sit down on a Zoom call with TikTok peeps. But they can't seem to find time to address, to resolve the needs of Americans in this country. They don't have time to talk about healthcare. Not for everyone. They don't have time to try to fix that. They don't have time to try to fix the student loan situation that people have in this country. They don't have time to try to fix the poverty situation, the homelessness situation. They don't have time to try to get a minimum wage increase in this country, to get people a living wage. But Jen Psaki has time to sit down with social media influencers from TikTok. Thank you so much for saying that, Timothy. Where's the public option, Joe? Where's the healthcare promise? Where's the increase in minimum wage? And I really want to know how people who are making $7.25 an hour, how they're even getting by right now with the gas prices. If you're making $7.25 an hour and gas is $6.05 a gallon, how are you getting by? They have more time to sit down with people from TikTok. Go spread our message, get our message out there about how the United States is doing a great thing with this conflict. They're using young people. Guys, we have to get to the younger people. We have so much propaganda out there that is reaching them in large numbers, and it really makes me concerned about the future. We have Jen Psaki working with social media influencers on TikTok to spread incorrect information about this crisis and make the Americans look like we're the good guys here. You have people like Vosh and Hassan Piker spreading lies to masses of young people on Twitch. I am deeply concerned that the younger generation is going to be propagandized, not necessarily by mainstream media, because a lot of younger people don't watch CNN and MSNBC. Like, they're more into social media, internet news. I'm more concerned that they are going to be propagandized through fake leftists who pretend to be left, who will say a couple of leftist ideas, talk about a couple of leftist issues, and who will encourage them to be pro-imperialist and pro-war. I think that is my bigger concern with younger people than mainstream media. And we have to get to them. We have to wake them up. And I feel like this is all a part of the plan. Because if you pay close attention, those are the people, these people that come out of nowhere and all of a sudden have 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. Caleb Maupin talked about this. BreadTube. Sending these messages out there that is corrupting the minds of young people. And they're the future. It's highly suspect. Highly suspect. Of course, TikTok is very popular amongst younger people. We all know this. It reaches so many people. So you have the United States government, the media, and corporations all in bed together. How do you fight that? Spread this message to as many people as possible. I get really tired of seeing people being deplatformed. I can't tell you how many times over the past 2 weeks another person's account was suspended. Very scary times. Very scary times. This is why I tell you guys, share this with people, not just so we can get subscribers. Like, share this information. I don't want the future to look like a bunch of a country full of robots, brainwashed robots. And I feel like if we don't change that, I feel like that's where we're headed. You can't trust the mainstream media. Hell, and from what I've seen recently, you can't trust some of these people that claim to be independent either. Not based on what I've seen. People ask us, why do we talk about the podcaster's message? because they're telling you stuff that is incorrect. Because we see them starting to take mainstream media talking points and put them into their independent shows. Because we see them following the money. Because we see them slowly but surely being corrupted. We don't have a lot of fighters in this. We don't have a lot of people doing this that really want to like do a movement. And some of them that said they wanted to do a movement, you see, they only wanted to do it when it was done through electoral politics. Those people are gone. They're not telling you trying to move anything. They're just trying to tell you, keep voting for Democrats. This is some of the problems in a capitalist society. Too many people trying to go after their career and their own fame than they are trying to build something with the people and actually create change. If I had that kind of money, do you know what I would do? First, I'd pay off these student loans. Second, create community gardens. Build a school that actually teaches kids what they really need to know in life, not just information from a textbook. I've already been through that. I worked in education. I already know how that goes. Teach them survival skills. A school that teaches them how to cook their own food, how to grow their own food, how to survive. A lot of people don't know how to survive. If everything went to shit tomorrow, how many people out there know how to build a fire? How many? How many know how to build shelter? These are the things we need to teach people. And I don't think you should have to pay to be a part of a club or organization to learn how to do it. A lot of things that we could do. And there are some people who are doing just those things. There are organizations and groups out here that are doing those things, helping people in their community. So that is our goal here, is to educate people, to teach you some of these things that we can do on our own. I know people that have lived off the grid. They've been living off the grid for a while. If shit hits the fan, those people are going to be okay. They know how to take care of themselves. They know how to survive. Yes, thank you so much for that, Timothy. Mutual aid and education. 100%. 100%. All right, guys. I am going to be live again at 8 o'clock. So if you want more Sabby, I'll tell you what we're going to be talking about over there. We've been talking a lot about this whole issue with Russia and Ukraine. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that this time in reference to the conversation that happened between Max Blumenthal and Ro Khanna, because Ro Khanna always said that he was anti-war. There's something that comes across in this conversation that I think is deeply concerning that you need to hear and pay attention to. I'm going to address that. I'm also going to talk about Jussie Smollett's sentencing. I think dude needs to give it up. I think he needs to give it up now. And I'm also going to talk about Congress gets a raise. And I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. I don't think you're going to be happy when you hear how much of a raise they're getting during this time. And that segment is going to lead into the call-in portion of the show. So you'll be able to call in at 9. I'll be live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can call in at 9 o'clock, and we're going to talk about the class divide, because we need to talk about why in the hell Congress gets a 21% raise when some of us didn't even get raises last year. We need to talk about the class divide. We need to get into it. So if you are interested, you can join me on my channel, Sabby Sabs. We're going to get into that discussion tonight. We're calling them all out, you guys. We're calling them all out. We take no punches. All right. So I am past my time. So guys, have a good night. Keep up the fight.